Hello, my sunshine yogis. Welcome to this class devoted to our hips and hamstrings. I heard them calling and I've answered the call. A lot of us have challenges keeping our hips and our hamstrings stretched out, flexible and mobile. And so this class is really designed to get into those areas. You're welcome to take the full class or even stop the video halfway and just concentrate on one or two of the poses. Each one that we kind of move through is designed to open up a certain part of the body along the hip and the hamstring area, also our low back. So you may want to have two blocks or a block nearby and maybe a blanket to sit on. And we'll begin in the center of our mats in a seated position. Blue's joining us today, so that's always fun. All right, I'll meet you there, yogis. So if your hips are feeling tight, sitting on that block or blanket to give you a little elevation is a good idea. It'll just help to take some of the pressure off and maybe help to relax your spine a little bit and your outer hips. So if you're going to use the blanket, you're going to sit on the edge of it so that your pelvis is slightly tilted forward. I've got a yoga buddy today. How fun. And place your right shin in front. It can be crossed in any manner that feels good to you. And we'll just take a moment to settle and ground our sit bones. Find that anchoring sensation where you're really connecting with the earth. Maybe give the shoulders a little roll and shrug just to kind of get some of the day off of us. We tend to hold a lot of the tension there. And just gently tick-tock the head from side to side. If you're taking this class right after work, there might be some tension there. If you've been holding your gaze and fixing your gaze at a screen all day long, which a lot of us do, myself included. And allow your eyes to close. Relax the heads of the shoulders down. Gently draw your navel towards your spine to support that uplift. Sitting nice and tall, and feeling the crown of the head stretching up. Gently close your lips and begin to breathe in and out through your nose. Just observing that natural flow of breath. Letting the chest, the ribs, and the belly expand as you breathe in. And then feel them fall as you breathe out, gently pulling that navel towards the spine. Feeling the flow of breath moving through you with ease, or noticing if it isn't. Can you begin to smooth that out so that as you breathe in, you find a full and smooth length of breath in, followed by a similar exhale, nice and long and smooth, pressing that breath out. And we begin with this breathing to center us, to bring us into that connection that yoga provides between the mind and body. Letting our mind focus on our breath, helping us to connect to the sensations in our body, and allowing our mind to just ground in this present moment, being here, being now, sensing ourselves in this space and time. Good. Feel the body begin to settle and relax and the mind begin to quiet. And then as you're ready, just invite the eyes to open. Now you can ground your shin down in front of you here. Again, we'll start with the right shin in front of us. And with your hands on your knees, start to make some circles with your torso. So you're just going to lean forward out and over your shins and then roll back. We're beginning to open up our spine here, and you can feel this in the outer hips as you move from side to side. So oftentimes when we have really tight low back, we can feel that in our hips. particularly if we've been sitting for most of the day. So just keep this gentle rotation going, moving in the same direction. I'm going to scoot over now that my yoga buddy has moved to his yoga mat. Get the shoulders involved as you start to loosen up. Let this feel really good. Try to make as generous rotation as you can. And feel the difference between leaning out and over your shins and rolling back and kind of hollowing out the belly as you roll back. Good. Beautiful. Let's do one more. And then come upright, switch the cross of the legs, and then we'll take those rotations in the opposite direction. So moving in the opposite way, rolling out and over your shins, and then rounding back. Get as much of your chest and your torso and your shoulders involved as you can. And as you start to unlock the body, you'll begin to feel a little more freedom, a little more lightness. And you may be able to kind of increase your mobility as you move through these circles. Beautiful. Good. And then coming upright, we'll re-switch the cross of the legs. So go ahead and bring that right shin back in front. Let's add a little more light here. And we'll take a side stretch. So allow your right fingertips to walk away from your right hip. And then bring the left arm up and overhead as you slide your fingertips away from you, possibly bending into that elbow, and just reach up and out of your left hip. So just begin to ground and anchor that side down so that you feel that lengthening sensation along your left side. That left palm is turned down. Root evenly through your sit bones. Relax your left inner shoulder. And then allow the palm to cradle the back of your head. Lean your head back into your hand and gently begin to roll that left shoulder back and start to turn the torso. So you're wrapping your right ribs underneath you as you spiral your left ribs up. And maybe you look up to the sky. Take a breath in here. Feel the stretch on the outside, maybe inside also of your left hip. And as you exhale, we're just going to turn the torso down. So start to bring the armpit down towards the mat and look down off to the right. Moving between those two, let's inhale, open up the chest. Feel this opening up that left outer hip. And as you exhale, you're going to rotate down. Maybe feel a little stretch in the back side of your hip on the left side. Let's do one more. Inhale to open up. And then exhale to curl down. Good, let's rise on up. Beautiful. And then we'll switch sides. Left shin in front. Left fingertips start to crawl away from you. Lift up that right arm and slowly lean off to the left. Face your right palm down. Stretch out of your right hip. Keep that right sit bone and right thigh bone pressing down. Stretch into it. Breathe into it. Find length on this side. Notice how your hips are feeling here. If there's tightness, send your breath wherever it may be. We'll bring that palm to the back of our head, lean the head into the hand, and then start to roll the right shoulder back and the left ribs under you, maybe turning the gaze even here. Now, if this doesn't feel good to you, don't invite in the turn. You can just keep your head leaning back, right? Remember to follow what your body is telling you. Take a nice deep breath in here. On the exhale, we're going to rotate that top elbow down, taking a little twist to look down to the left. Good. Inhale, elbow comes up. Rotate and turn the torso. Exhale as you roll it down. Feel that stretch maybe now on the outside of your back right hip. One more time. Inhale as we open, turn. And then exhale as we twist. Gently bring yourself upright. And if you're on a blanket or a folded mat, go ahead and take that off to the side. We're going to open our legs nice and wide, placing the soles of the feet onto the mat, as wide as the mat or even a little bit wider. Take your hands back behind you, lean back a little bit, and we'll begin to windshield wiper the knees from side to side. So right away, you're going to feel that internal, external rotation in the hips. This is a really nice way to kind of get them unstuck if you've been sitting all day. A really gentle, easy way to bring a little mobility there. Once both knees are over to the right, we're going to land there and line up our legs so that they're at 90 degrees. So you'll see my knee and my hip are in line, and my ankle and knee are in line. Do that for both legs. Now you're welcome to stay here if this is enough sensation. Think about really pressing that left hip forward. So as you lean back, open your chest a little bit and just lift and press the left hip forward. Now this could be enough of a stretch for you. It feels really good. But if you want to go a little bit further, you can add a twist. So what we'll do is we'll start to turn the torso towards the back of the mat, facing our chest and our shoulders towards the back. Now you'll notice this in your low back, and you can feel it in your outer hip as well. Breathe into this if it feels good to you. If not, return to the first position. And if you feel really open and you want to go deeper, maybe even lower down to your forearms, or grab a block and just rest your forearms onto the block. Getting a little bit lower. This will intensify the stretch quite a bit. Breathe into whatever you are feeling and make it feel good. Right? Yoga is definitely about stretching us out, and yes, maybe feeling some challenge in the depth of the stretch, but it's ultimately about making our bodies feel good. Bring that smile to your face. Know that you're doing something really good for yourself here. And then we'll gently come up. If you're in the twist, rotate back, but keep your legs as they are. And then we'll just draw that right heel in slightly and extend the left leg out. I'm going to ground that left foot down, and I'm going to sweep my left arm up so that I roll onto that right shin and bring my left arm overhead. Now what I want to do here is to press my hips forward as I lean slightly back, reaching my arm overhead. Feel this really beautiful stretch in the front of the hips and ground and lengthen out through your left leg. Press that left hip flexor forward, open up, and then slowly bring yourself down. Nice job, guys. Feet wide. Once again, we'll drop both knees off to the left and do the same sequence off to the other side. So 90 degrees with both legs, knee and hip, knee and ankle on both sides. Take your hands back behind you, open up your chest by rolling your shoulders back, and then press that right hip forward. So you're really grounding that right knee down, and you're lifting and pressing the right hip forward. This, again, may be just enough of a stretch for you. It does happen to feel really, really good, especially if you're engaging. So engage your body here. And if you'd like to go deeper, we'll go ahead and we'll take that twist to the back. So walk both hands to face the back of your mat. Try to square your chest as much as possible. Pressing hands into the mat, you're welcome to stay upright. This can create quite a bit of sensation just by itself. If you want a little bit more, take your block or your forearms right down to the mat and go a little bit lower. You will definitely feel that, hopefully in a good way, in a way that nourishes your body, helps you to Release some tension and open up the muscles all around your spine and the back of the hips. Breathing in, breathing out. Feel that internal rotation in the hips, on that right hip, external in the left. As you're ready, let's take a big breath in. Open mouth, exhale, let it go wherever you are. Good, and we'll transition back up and out of this pose. So gently unwind yourself back to the front. We're gonna slide that left heel in just slightly and extend the right leg out. My left hand is back behind me to support me, and I'm gonna use my right arm to sweep up onto that left shin. Press your hips forward, lean your head back, stretch your arm all the way overhead, and root and ground through that right foot. Feel that beautiful opening across your right hip flexor. Breathe into it. Put a smile on your face as you breathe out. Ah. Good. Slowly, slowly, slowly come down. Now we'll keep our left foot where it is and our right leg extended. Gently take the heel slightly further away from you. We're going to go into a different version of half butterfly with the foot slightly further away. So this creates a little bit more of a challenge rather than bringing the foot all the way in. If you prefer to bring the foot all the way in, you're welcome to. But bringing it slightly away increases the stretch in that outer hip, and I'm sure you can feel that. You'll want to flex your right toes back towards you and anchor down that right thigh bone. And keeping a nice long spine, we're just going to try to walk our hands slightly forward, out and over that left shin. Big breaths into your left outer hip. I'm sure you can feel that. Take this to whatever degree feels good to you. And remember, we're not forcing anything. We're just trying to find a good stretch. If that left knee is popping up, just invite it to kind of move down and just work with gravity. Over breath and over time, that's gonna soften up and loosen up. And at any point, you're welcome to pause the video and just stay in a pose that feels really good to you, that you may get some extra benefit from. So please modify, create, do as you wish. Good, slowly bring yourself up. Wow, that felt good. And we're going to extend that left leg out. So we're coming into a wide straddle. For a lot of us, this is a pose we don't get into very often. So you'll probably be feeling it on those inner leg lines. You're welcome to take your hands back behind you. You can prop up on a blanket here if you need to. Maybe pick up your sit bones and pull your tailbone back. Try to tilt the pelvis a little bit further forward. And again, you're going to flex your feet, draw the toes back towards you. So staying upright here, maybe bringing the hands forward. If there's a block handy and you'd like to go a little bit lower, resting your forearms on the block, you are welcome to. But you want to keep your legs nice and active. Right? So really, really ground your heels, ground your thigh bones, pull the toes back towards you. And with as straight a spine as possible, try to lean your chest out and over. So this is going to create quite a bit of sensation and a good stretch of the inner leg lines. Go for it, whatever depth feels good to you. Breathing in, breathing out. The breath is so important. As you're breathing, notice if you're breathing shallow, just from the top part of your lungs, try to breathe deep. As we breathe deeper, we're really bringing oxygen into the body. And that's what's going to help with opening up the tight muscles, right? Good. Now from here, slowly bring yourself back and up. Keep that left leg extended and bring the right heel in. Not as close as the inner thigh, although that feels better for you, you're welcome to, but rather away from you. So you're getting more of a stretch in that right outer hip. Each side is going to be a little bit different, so expect to feel that variation in sensation. And then as you're ready, we'll try to walk our hands out and over the shin, encouraging the right knee down, grounding the hips, grounding that left heel, keeping our spine straight, our chest open, and pulling our belly button in towards our spine so we can fold. Breathe into this side. Again, you may feel something entirely different here, maybe more sensation or not as much. Awesome. Good, and then we'll walk it back. Beautiful. Now, lean back so that you can bring your feet forward. We're gonna line our heels up with our sit bones. Our fingertips are gonna face our sit bones as well. And you wanna bring your hands outer shoulder width distance apart. Go ahead and bend the elbows. Now plant the feet and then begin to scoop your tailbone up and underneath you and rock the hips forward and up until you come into a reverse tabletop position. Keep your chin tucked towards your chest and then roll the shoulders back so you engage your shoulder blades onto your back. Squeeze your inner thighs towards one another. Press into your hands, lift and open your chest. Pull the tailbone towards the back of your knees, lengthen out your backside, breathe in. On the exhale, gently lower down, breathe out. Beautiful. Nice job, guys. Now let's come into tabletop position. So reversing that into traditional tabletop, we'll go ahead and bring our hands to the mat, stacked underneath our shoulders. Spread your fingertips nice and wide and begin to bring your knees underneath your hips. So I'm going to go ahead and tuck my toes as well. And we're going to start to bring a little more fluidity and mobility to the spine and add a little movement in for the hips as well. Inhale now, as you stretch your heart forward, you're going to lift your tailbone and the crown of the head for cow pose. As you exhale, press the earth away, tuck your tailbone and bring your chin to your chest as you spread your shoulder blades off onto your back and you pull your belly button up towards your spine. All right, inhale, take it forward, lengthening the spine here, tilting the pelvis. Feel the hips working here. As you exhale, tuck and round. Chin to chest, draw your tailbone under. Inhale, let's lengthen out. Feel the shoulder blades draw together as you lift the crown of the head and the tailbone. Exhale as you press into the mat. Feel the shoulder blades draw apart. Belly button pulls up towards the spine. Now, have your toes tucked here if you don't already. On your next in breath, pull up into cow pose. As you exhale, you're going to round and begin to hover your knees about an inch or two off the mat. Coming into cat with this hovering position, engaging our thighs as we press the earth away. Inhale to lower the knees. Bring the chest forward, cow pose. Exhale to tuck and round, hovering the knees. Push the earth away. Tuck your tailbone under. Good, let's do that again. Lower the knees, breathe in, find your cow pose. As you exhale, tuck and hover. Let's hold here, create a little heat. Create some engagement of your thighs. Feel them draw towards one another energetically. Breathe in. And as you breathe out, let's start to pull the hips up towards the sky, lengthen our legs, and let the heels start to melt to the floor, downward facing dog. Take some time here to move with your body's desire and needs. So you're welcome to shift your hips from side to side, pedal out your legs, starting now to work into our hamstrings. Feel the heels start to melt down. Feel the stretch in the back side of your legs. Breathe in. Breathe out, and then find stillness within the body, but keep your breath flowing nice and steady. Press into your thumb and forefingers. Press the mat away and lengthen your shoulder blades onto your back. Pull your hips back from your hip creases, and then do your best to just stretch your heels towards the floor. They don't need to touch. Arm bones are alongside your ears. Wrap your tricep muscles in, engaging those upper arms, and then press your ribs back towards your thighs. Pull your belly button in and up. Now walk your hands back far enough, just far enough, so that your heels touch the ground. And separate your feet just slightly wider than hips distance. Take your left hand, place it in the middle of the mat, and thread your right arm underneath so that you can reach for the outside of your left thigh, shin, or ankle. Grab onto whatever you can find and begin to turn yourself so that you're looking up and underneath that left arm. Press through your heels. Feel that big stretch in the hamstrings, maybe outer hip, glute. Breathe in. Breathe out, and we'll switch sides. Right hand to the center, thread that left arm underneath, reach for the right side. And once you make a connection, start to turn your torso so that you can look up and underneath your right side. Pull your left elbow towards the left and press your right heel to the mat, lengthening those beautiful hamstrings. Good. Let's slowly release and gently walk your feet to meet your hands in the middle of the mat, coming into a forward fold. Toes face forward, feet are underneath the hips. Allow your upper body to simply dangle. Let the head release, maybe shake it out here. Any amount of bend in the knees is welcome here. But keep envisioning that lengthening property. Plugging the heels in, lifting the hips up, maybe bringing the hands to the backs of the legs for a little massage. Feel the crown of the head reaching down so that you're lengthening up the whole back side of the body. We'll find an interlace of our hands behind us. If you can't create this clasp, you're welcome to grab opposite elbows. Whichever grip you have, roll your shoulders back, and if your palms can meet, stretch your arms to straight. Fold your ribs in closer to your thighs, either variation, even if you're grabbing opposite elbows, keep those shoulders rolled back. And then we'll inhale to a halfway point. So you're gonna pull your spine to straight, crown of the head forward, tailbone back. Pull the heart forward and squeeze your shoulder blades onto your back. Take a deep breath in. On the exhale, soften the knees, gently relax the arms, let everything soften down. One more time, inhale, let's engage. Get the spine to be straight, look slightly past the top of your mat. Ground through your feet, pull your shoulder blades onto your back, pull your navel in and up. Breathe length into the spine, nice and straight here. As you exhale, let's fold and fully release, letting go of your arm bond. And as we inhale, now we're going to root through our heels and roll ourselves up to stand, bringing your arms up with you all the way up and out. And as you exhale, let your palms meet and join them together in front of your heart. Close your eyes for a moment. Settle into your breath. If you feel like maybe creating an intention for your practice or setting a little prayer or dedication to your practice, you are certainly welcome to do that here. Otherwise, this is always a nice place to kind of pause, reconnect with breath, reconnect with you, and appreciate the time that you are taking for yourself. Time on your mat. Good, let's open our eyes, and then we're gonna take our feet nice and wide here, turning the toes out, and the heels in. So wider than hips width distance. Wide enough so that as you bend your knees are going to be over your ankles. We want to have a nice long spine here, and we want our shoulders to step over our hips. So just begin to press into your feet to lift, and then bend into the knees to lower. Just beginning to stretch out those inner leg lines, outer hips. You're going to feel it straight away. So nothing really taxing here, but just very fluid, using our breath. Inhaling and exhaling as we warm up our hip joints. If you've been sitting most of the day, pretty sure you're going to feel this, no matter how open in the hips you are. Good. Now the next time you bend your knees, let's hover here, pointing the tailbone down. And then as you are able, we're going to start to lower all the way down. So you want your elbows to rest inside your inner knees. Now, if you need a block, let me pivot to get one. You can always grab a block to sit on, and you can finish the rest of this sequence on top of your block. But if you don't need a block, we're going to go ahead and bring our hands to the floor, and we're just going to start to rock from side to side. So you can see that I'm rolling onto each heel and lifting my toes, swinging my hips from side to side. So this may be just where you want to be, really getting into the hips in this kind of fluid way. You're welcome to carry on with this. For those who want to go a little bit deeper, we're going to go ahead and ground the heels down. Maintain the position of our elbows inside of our knees. Press the palms together and use our elbows, to widen the knees open, coming into Malasana. This is pretty heavy duty. Again, if you need the block, you can place it on any height, sit here, and then use this to assist you into getting into the pose. You're still getting the benefits from the pose, so don't feel like you're wimping out by using the block. Blocks are definitely our friends. Stay here and breathe. Close the eyes if you need to. Put a smile on your face. It always helps, especially when we're in the more challenging poses. Malasana, such a goodie. Breathe in. Breathe out, come back to that inhale, exhale, filling you up with oxygen, nourishing you. The exhale's releasing any stale energy, any tightness, any tension. Good, one more breath here, you're doing great. And then we'll go ahead and release the hands down, start to fold forward, lifting the hips, dropping the crown of the head. We'll go ahead and heel toe the feet in underneath the hips and just find that forward fold one more time. Let everything dangle. Again, you're welcome to bend the knees as much as you need to here. Beautiful. And then we'll gently place the hands on the mat, step one foot back, and then the other, coming into plank pose. So you can drop to your knees if you need to. Otherwise, keep the knees lifted. Ground through your hands, make sure your wrists are directly underneath your shoulders, and then press back through your heels to lengthen your legs. Keep the tops of the thighs lifted, your belly pulling in and up, your chest drawing forward, and find a little rounding between the shoulder blades on your backside. Take another breath in here. Just know that you're strengthening and conditioning everything in the body. One more breath. On the exhale, let's lower just the knees. Now bring your hips back to stack over your knees. Keep them there. And then we're going to go ahead and walk the hands forward, melting the chest all the way down for Anahatasana or puppy pose. This is a beautiful way to open up the chest, sinking our rib cage down towards the floor, melting the heart, maybe grounding the forehead. Feel that beautiful opening through the shoulders. Breathing in and breathing out. So lovely. All right, let's slide ourselves forward now. So ground your elbows and forearms and just slide your torso forward so that you land on your belly. Take a peek and make sure that your elbows are stacked underneath your shoulders. Turn your palms down and ground through your forearms. Now press the front of the hips and your pubic bone into the mat. Point your toes back, ground the tops of the feet down, and gently begin to lengthen your heart space up. So feel this energy rising from your navel all the way up to your chest. Energetically pull your elbows back as you lift your heart a little bit more. Sphinx pose. Breathe in and breathe out. Beautiful. Now turn your left forearm so that it's parallel to the mat. We're going to bend our right knee and reach back with our right hand for our right foot. Coming into a quad stretch, front of the hip stretch. So pull your heel towards your outer hip, however it feels best for you. I'm reaching for the top of my foot. And don't worry about how far your heel comes towards your sit bone. Just really be more engaged with the experience and the sensation you're feeling in opening up your quad, lengthening that big muscle, and pressing into the front of your right hip. So try to let that hip flexor go a little bit soft, grounding as much of it into the mat as you can, breathing into this big opening that you're creating in the front of your thigh. Also a really nice shoulder and chest opener. So maybe think about rolling your right shoulder back a little bit more. And then for fun, we're just going to roll off onto our left side. So keep that left forearm grounded. Keep the grabbing of the foot. And we'll just take this on our side. Same thing, but a little bit different. This may feel a little more accessible to you. Maybe you want to kick your foot back a little bit more and open up into the stretch a little bit more. Just kind of explore the shape, but continue to breathe into the space that we're creating in the front of our right quad and hip. Breathe in and breathe out. Beautiful. Let's roll it back and switch sides. That right forearm parallel to the mat now, left leg bends, reach back with the left foot. And let's go ahead and pull the heel in, any amount. Really concentrate on letting the front of your left hip open up. So try to soften into it as you stretch that big quadricep muscle. Think about rolling your left shoulder back if that feels good. And overall, just really melting the whole front of the pelvis into the floor. Creating spaciousness here as best we can with breath and intention and focus. Good, now let's take it off to the right side, roll to the right, keep holding on to the foot, maybe kick it back a little bit here. Feeling a different variation of the stretch and really enjoying it. I think it feels so good. Breathe in and breathe out. Awesome job, guys. One more time. On the exhale, we'll slowly roll it back. Release. Bring your hands alongside your rib cage. Tuck the toes. Pull back to a child's pose. Stretch out your low back. Breathing here, sending breath into the back body. Beautiful. Now taking it up into downward facing dog, rock it forward, pull the hips up and back, And pause here for a moment to notice how this feels now that we've moved a little bit more, now that the body is a little bit more warmed up. Awesome. Keep finding your breath. Now let's go into some lunges for our hamstrings. We're going to step that right foot forward up by our right thumb, keeping our left knee lifted. Stack your right knee over your right ankle and press back through your left heel, sinking the hips down here as much as you can. If you need to support yourself on blocks, you're welcome to bring the blocks to both hands, to bring the chest a little more upright, and to let that melting sensation of dropping the hips down go a little bit deeper. Do the best you can here. Really feel and focus your breath into that left hip flexor. Breathe in. On the exhale, now we're going to straighten that front leg as we pull our hips up and back. Invite your right sit bone back and pull your right hip crease back. Maybe you walk your hands back underneath the shoulders and pull the chest forward as you draw that right hip back. Breathe in, big stretch for that right hamstring. Breathe out and maybe fold a little bit deeper. This will intensify the stretch. Good. Now rebend into your front knee. Walk your hands forward. We're going to ground our left heel all the way down. So you want to almost make a warrior two position with your legs where you can. So your right heel is going to intersect with the arch of your back foot. You may need to walk your right foot over, center it a little bit more. Now that right sit bone is going to want to really wing out to the right. Pull it underneath you, keep tucking it underneath you, and then take your right hand to your right ankle or even to a block outside of your foot and gently start to straighten that front leg. Keep tucking right sit bone underneath you. Bring your left hand to your left hip. Start to, if you can, roll your right ribs underneath you, left ribs up, roll that left shoulder back and open up towards the left long side of your mat. If this feels good and you can ground through both legs evenly, maybe lift that left arm up, coming into Trikonasana pose. Even out the weight distribution between your legs and lean back just a little bit more, rolling that left shoulder back, dropping your head back. Strong and steady in your legs. Keep tucking your right sit bone underneath you. As you breathe in, now we're going to come all the way up. So press into your strong legs and bring that right arm up and back. Doesn't have to be far. We just want to feel that stretch along the front of our body. The right side. Keep anchoring through the legs. Breathe in. Breathe out. Good. Now arms come to a T. Let's bend into our front knee. Finding warrior two. Again, you may need to open up your feet a little bit wider. Ideally, when you come into this pose, your feet are underneath your wrist creases. So once you stretch your arms out, see if you can play with that alignment. And then get low, drop down, bringing the tailbone down, lengthening your spine, activating your fingertips, reach out and drop into that front knee, stack it right over the front ankle. Take a peek at your knee, make sure it's not rolling in. We want to turn it out and line it up with your middle toes. Good. Big standing hip opener here. Get strong in your legs as you sink down. Take a nice breath in. On the exhale, cartwheel your hands down, frame out your front foot, and take a big step back to downward facing dog. Big breath in here through the nose, everyone. Open mouth, exhale, let it go with a ha. Good, and as you stay here in your dog, just take a little body scan. Notice that right side sensation compared to the left. Let's even ourselves out. Good, taking a look forward at our left thumb. Step the left foot up to the thumb and keep the back knee, right knee lifted. Finding our lunge on this side, low lunge. Aligning knee over ankle on that left side, pressing that right heel away. Maybe bringing your hands onto blocks if that's helpful on this side. And know that this side might be requiring something different. Let your hips melt and let your heart lift. You can always drop the back knee if you need to. Breathe in. Breathe out. Take a breath in and prepare on your exhale to straighten that left leg coming into our runner's lunge. Walk the hands underneath the shoulders. Pull your left sit bone underneath you and back. And as you inhale, lift your chest. As you exhale, maybe fold a little deeper over your front thigh. Both legs as straight as possible. Grounding your left big toe. Tugging the left hip crease back. Notice what you're feeling on this side. Breathe it in and breathe it out. Good. Now, look forward, rebend into that front knee. We're going to ground the back heel down, lining heel to arch alignment up here on this side. Now, you can take your block to the outside of your left foot or just grab onto your left ankle. Take a breath in, and as you exhale, we're going to start to straighten that left leg. Be mindful of the left sit bone wanting to wing out. Tuck it underneath you and root evenly through your feet. If this feels good, bring your right hand to your right hip and gently invite yourself to open and turn to the long side of your mat. Wrapping your left ribs underneath you, wrapping that right shoulder back. Maybe lifting the right arm up, pressing evenly through both legs. Finding your Trikonasana pose, really strong for the hamstrings here. Brighten it up, be energized. Good, now let's ground through the feet to rise all the way up and take it back. Left arm reaching back towards the back of the mat as your right arm relaxes down your back leg. Stay grounded through your legs. Stretch out through your fingertips. Feel your left side elongate. So beautiful. Good, and now arms come to a T. Breathe in. As you breathe out, let's come into warrior two, adjusting the feet as you need to. I'm going to take a little bit wider stance. Try to avoid dumping the pelvis this way. Bring it level as much as you can. Trying to bring that front thigh parallel to the mat. That's a pretty tall order. Just think of it as a direction to go into. It doesn't have to be it there today, but a direction to move into. Keep your spine nice and long, tailbone pointing down, crown of the head reaching up. Feel the stretch in the front of the hips. Feel the grounding energy through your legs. Maybe sink a little bit deeper. One more breath. On the exhale, let's cartwheel the hands down, pivot onto the ball of the back foot, step back, and find your downward facing dog. Oh, it should feel really good. Notice how that evening out of the body feels. Nice and warm in the hips, feeling the lengthening of those hamstrings. Let's keep it rolling, friends. Bring that right leg up, bend the knee and open up the hip. So you want your right heel to drift off to the left side as you lift your right knee up. Ground through your hands and square your shoulders off. So really make the focus here on opening up the front of the right hip. Take another deep and beautiful breath in. On the exhale, look forward and step your right foot to the outside of your right hand. So a wide stance. And we're going to bring that back knee down this time, untucking the toes. This is called lizard pose. Again, you want to stack knee over ankle. Hopefully you can see that here. And we're just going to sink the front of the hips down once again. So like we did in our runner's lunge, but different now with the grounding and with a little bit wider stance. If your block is available, you want to use it, come on down onto your forearms and just breathe into the sensation that this pose creates. Pretty intense. If this is not for you, upright is going to be a little less challenging. So do what feels right for you. Always wonderful to have options in yoga. It's a practice that fits all bodies, all abilities, all conditions. Make this practice yours. Breathe into it. Breathe out. Really squeeze your left glute and press the front of the left hip forward to get a good stretch into that psoas muscle. All right, we'll transition now to a half split, half Hanuman. Breathe in. On the exhale, we'll pull the hips back, straightening that front leg, walking the hands back, maybe pulling the toes back if our hamstrings are willing. Do your best here. Again, keep tucking your right sit bone underneath you. Pull the right hip crease back as you draw your heart forward. Big stretch here. Breathe into it. Let it go. And then bend into the front knee. Bring your right hand inside of your right foot. Tuck those back toes now and lift your knee up. We're going to lean into our right knee, inner knee with our right shoulder. We're going to ground our back foot like we did before. So spin the toes towards the long end of the mat, edge of the foot parallel to the back edge of the mat. I'm now going to lean into that left or into my right knee with my right shoulder. And again, I'm going to pull my left shoulder back, turn my chest. Keep low in the pose, so I keep dropping that right hip down. Maybe the left arm comes up. Maybe it even comes overhead, palm facing down. Keep leaning back, pulling your right sit bone underneath you, breathing into that deep sensation you're creating in your right hip. One more beautiful breath in, my yogis, way to go. Exhale as we bring the hand down, pivot onto the ball of the back foot. Step back to plank pose, lengthen out, press into both hands, create space through the legs as you press your heels away from you. Come forward on the in-breath, rocking onto the toes. Exhale down to the belly. Untuck the toes, inhale, find your baby cobra. We're gonna lift the chest, round the tops of the feet, pull the shoulders down and away from the ears. Exhale it down. Back to downward facing dog through hands and knees. And then lifting those hips high, pressing the heels down and away from you. Beautiful left side now as the left leg lifts. Bend the knee and open up the hip on this side. Keep pressing evenly through your hands. Let that left knee travel up while the left toes travel over to the right. Breathe into the space you're creating there. Yawning, open your hip. Take a breath in, look forward. As you breathe out, big step to the outside of your left hand. Grounding your right knee. Untuck the right toes. Finding your lizard pose on this side. Option to remain upright. Pressing your right glute forward and into your psoas muscle on that right side. Opening up your hip flexor. Maybe coming down, either to a block or all the way down onto your forearms. Yogi's choice here, allowing for this side to be different, giving yourself some options, whatever works for you here. Breathe into it and appreciate what your body can do on this side. Remember, we're never in a state of judgment, always curiosity, compassion, being easy and gentle on ourselves. That's really the strength of the practice. It's not about the advanced poses or killing it in any way. It's really about the moderation and the awareness that we bring to each and every pose. Let's pull the hips back as we straighten the front leg now, coming into our half split. Toes draw back towards your shin. Sit bone draws under. Hip crease pulls back. Notice how you feel on this side. Oh yeah. Plenty of sensation, even after we've been working. But nice and warm. The body is willing. The mind is willing, and the breath keeps us going. Good, let's bend into the front knee. We're gonna tuck the back toes as we plant that left hand inside of our left foot. Spin the right heel down, round through it. Begin to lean into your left inner knee with your left shoulder and place your right hand on your right hip. Rooting down through the feet, let's start to turn the torso one more time here. Wrap that right shoulder back. Lean into your left knee and maybe bring the right arm up. Nice and slow and steady breaths here. You can even explore drawing the right arm forward, palm facing down. Pull your right inner shoulder down and away from your ear. Round through your legs. Big sensation here. Breathe in. Breathe out. Slowly release. Bring the right hand down. Step the left foot back. Press the heels away from you one more time in plank. And then lower the knees to the mat. Take a breath. Child's pose. Hips stretch back towards your heels. Grounding down, relax your forehead, relax your elbows. Give yourself a moment or two to recover. Breathe spaciousness into your back. Beautiful. We'll come on up to tabletop. Coming into our last couple of poses here. We're going to come into pigeon pose. So I'll turn to the side. We'll come into it from a tabletop position. So invite your right knee to your right wrist, just outside of your right wrist, and then wiggle your left leg back. So you're really stretching it back behind you. Then I'm going to draw my right shin a little bit more towards the top of the mat. Now, I'm doing that because my right knee doesn't feel compromised in any way. But if you feel any tweakiness, then don't do that. Not a good idea. Square your hips off. You can also take this pose on your back in a figure 4 position. If you're choosing this, keep both of your sit bones off the mat. The right one should be lifted. The left one should be lifted. You want to square yourself off here, keeping your chest open. And as you feel ready, maybe using the block or coming right down to the mat, settle into the pose for a few nice long breaths. This is really focusing on our external rotation. So I'm sure you're feeling that on the right side. We're also inviting the front of the left hip to relax and to open up, just like we did in that half bow pose when we were doing our quad stretch. So this is kind of similar. So you can tap into that same invitation to let the hip go a little bit slack, breathing into wherever you feel this the most. Thanking your body for opening up, for working with you, thanking your body for the breath. Thanking your mind for participating, coming into the yoga of the practice, mind-body connection. Some of us could remain in this pose forever. I'm one of them. Some of us don't find that same amount of joy. So wherever you are, try to bring a smile to your face. And we'll begin to come out of the pose by placing our palms onto the mat, lifting up. Now go ahead and lower down onto that right sit bone. And you're gonna swing your left leg all the way around to the outside of your right, coming into a seated twist here. So my right knee is bent, my left knee is bent, my left foot is on the outside of my right thigh, and I'm working to ground both sit bones down. Good. Let's take our left hand behind us, and we're going to take our right hand to wrap, and our right arm to wrap in front of our left shin. So this is kind of stage one, just finding that kind of hugging sensation, inviting your knee to your armpit, drawing it in as you turn your chest and your ribs and your shoulders off to the left. If this is okay and you feel like you could go a little bit deeper, keeping everything else the same, sit bones grounded, spine long, left foot anchored, then maybe you bring your right elbow to the outside of your knee and you use it as a little lever, like a wedge, to turn the chest a little bit deeper to the left. Maybe looking over your left shoulder, keeping your chin parallel to the floor, bringing out the spine, just noticing how good the hips feel at this point. Take a nice breath in. On the exhale, see if you can rotate a little bit deeper. And then we're going to unwind gently. Now coming into pigeon on the other side, you're welcome to come back to tabletop and start from there, drawing your left knee up to your left wrist. If you'd like to go from here, we're just going to place that left shin towards the top of the mat and swing our right leg all the way back, lengthening it out. So you'll have to pick up your hips to do that. Walk your right leg back, walk the toes back, untuck the toes. And then once you find a squareness towards the top of your mat, see if you can draw that left shin a little bit further forward, but without tweaking the knee in any way. If you are dropping off to the left, prop yourself up with a block or a blanket. Draw your chest forward and up, melt into the side. Notice how different it is from the other. And then your options to stay upright, use a block to come down, or come all the way down onto the forearms. Close the eyes, let your experience of the pose go internal. Use that internal gaze to direct your breath. Taking a little body scan from the inside out. Noticing the sensation in your left outer hip. Notice the softening and the lengthening of your right hip flexor. Check in with your breath and make sure that you're breathing with that fullness, not shallow breaths, but deep, deep breaths. Good. You're welcome to stay for any amount of time. You're ready to transition. We'll start to lift our chest up, rolling onto that left sit bone and sweeping the right leg all the way across, coming into our seated twist. Round that right foot on the outside of your left thigh. Your left heel is outside of your right hip and sit bone. Root evenly through your sitting bones. Bring the right hand back behind you, and then take the wrap. Maybe elbow to wrap in front of that right knee, hugging the knee towards the armpit, and just inviting the twist in here. This may be just where you want to be tonight. If that's true, do your best to kind of rotate the right shoulder back. Find your twist. As you breathe in, you want to get a nice long spine. As you breathe out, you want to see how deep you can go in the twist. If you'd like to go deeper, maybe the elbow hooks outside of the knee. Press it into the knee and then turn a little bit more. Keep the chin parallel to the floor as you turn your gaze back behind you. Breathing in and breathing out. Oh, so nice. Let's gently unwind here. Leaning back into both hands, we'll unwind the legs long in front of us. I'll turn to the side. My fingertips are facing towards my feet. My hands are wider than my hips, but around shoulder width distance apart. Point your toes forward, drop the toes down, and as you press into the hands, tuck your sit bones, lift your pelvis, and lift your chest. Walking my hands back a little bit more, look forward. If this feels good, reversing into plank. Maybe drop the head back and open up your throat. Squeezing shoulder blades onto the back. Press your hips to the sky. On an exhale, slowly come down. Nice work, everybody. Let's go ahead and lower all the way down onto our backs as we bring our knees into our chest. Grab onto your knees and just circle them out. Going in both directions. Good. And then just gently rock the knees from side to side, giving a little massage to the back and to the outer hips. We did some good twisting, so our spine should be nice and healthy. Just giving that last little bit of love to the low back and outer hips. And then extending the legs long and coming into Shavasana, corpse pose. Adjust however you need to, letting the feet open wide. Arms draw away from you with your palms turned up. Bring the eyes to close. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Let it go with an awesome sigh. And let your body release into the floor. Soften absolutely everything from head to toe. Give yourself permission to land here, to stay here, to relax and to recover. Give no thought to your breath. Let it just move through you naturally. And let a little smile come to your face in acknowledgement of all the hard work and dedication that you brought to your practice today. Your hips and your hamstrings are happier for it. Your body, your state of being, your mind, everything connected. And as we rest here, we soak in all of the benefits of the practice on a cellular level, every level imaginable. Give yourself permission to stay here as long as you would like. To close, we'll go ahead and bring ourselves up, returning to the seat that we began with. And just taking a moment with our hands together in front of our hearts, thanking ourselves for being here. It's always my honor and my pleasure to guide you. I hope that this practice brought you some relief, maybe some insight into how to work with the hips and the hamstrings. I turn to this practice whenever you are feeling that tightness and the tension. And thank your body and yourself for showing up. Thumbs to third eye center. We'll bow to one another, acknowledging that beautiful light within us all. Namaste. Thank you so much, my yogis, for being here. I hope you have more light and lightness of being in your hips and your hamstrings after this practice. I look forward to bringing you more videos like this. Thank you, as always, for bringing your light and your love to this practice. Namaste.